Hello and welcome back to the Wedding Capture Co podcast with me, Chris, and my co-host, Tom. Although the video listeners will notice that we forgot to record an intro again, so I'm back at home in my office recording this intro. Today's episode is all about reading the room, and it's a bit of a rant, to be honest, because me and Tom are quite passionate about our sort of moment-led, authentic documentary style photography and videography. And these are buzzwords that no longer mean anything, because with Instagram and TikTok, all we're seeing at the moment is images that are made to look like they were authentic but aren't really. And so we sort of do a deep dive into what we feel like should be the norm for photo and video. And of course, this is completely our opinion and everyone has a different style, but this is sort of our take on where we think that photography and video should be heading compared to where we think it's heading. I think that's a good way of explaining it. Let's jump into it. All right, well, welcome back. And we are in end of June right now as of recording this. And I feel like this time last year, we sort of come into our June, July podcast like properly exhausted. I remember last time, sort of early July, I came into the house and was like, I am knackered.
Yeah, I think but you had that really manic. Maybe it was like a few weeks time because you had like a third of your weddings in 1 month last year.
It was somewhere mid-July. Yeah. I had just over, I think, 10 or 11 weddings in July. This year it's a bit more spread out.
Yeah.
So I think like we've both put in the notes that like we're feeling good about things. I'm definitely feeling the burnout mid-season, but not. I wouldn't say I'm stressed. I was just like, it's all kind of chunked in, and now it's time to like take a little bit of a breather a while. I've got a couple of weeks without any first shooting weddings. So.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm stressed, but I feel like most of mine is entirely self-fabricated.
Because you're going on holiday.
Like that's a lot of it. Because I'm going on holiday next week, so it's mine and Rose's 10th wedding anniversary next week, and I said this in an Instagram post yesterday, is that I think I've shot at least 2 or 3 weddings on my anniversary. So I have 2 or 3 couples out of the 10 years that I share an anniversary with, because I've shot my weddings on their wedding anniversary. I shot a wedding, like we got married on a Thursday, and then I think I shot a wedding like the following Tuesday or something like that. Like we went away for like a long weekend, came back and I shot a wedding the next week.
Wow, yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of anniversaries that I've given up, or time around that we haven't done a lot of celebrating.
Yeah.
That now that we're at 10 years, that I deserve to at least have a week off, or she deserves for me to take a week off.
Yeah, definitely
and us
celebrate
to go and spend some time,
yeah.
Which is lovely, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Of course, we're going back to our favourite place, so we're having 5 days in Florida, which I'm really, really looking forward to. But at the moment, I mean, like you say, that headless chicken kind of, I've got loads to do before we go away.
Yeah.
And I'm really worried about like my edits or like marketing and kind of keeping up with stuff. But I am actually on top of things. I think I'm kind of like flapping and like feeling like I should have loads to worry about. But if I actually like sat down and look at it rationally, I actually am quite in control.
I feel like it's just because it comes like at this point it comes one after the other, and there's often I think you need some sort of mindfulness in order to maintain like a level of organization in your head.
Yeah.
And because if you actually think about it and step back from all of the hustle bustle and think, okay, what are my couples actually waiting for?
Yeah.
You think, oh, actually, I'm actually on time. But in reality, all you're doing is getting home, packing up for the next day, then shooting, then backing up, then quickly editing. And like you're thinking, oh, I've got so much to do. When you take a step back and look at what you've actually got to do for your couples, it's not a lot. Like I say only, but this is quite good. I'm only like 7. I think I'm 7 in the queue.
Which for your time of year
is pretty decent. For
I think like we both said, haven't we, that it has weirdly happened this year, and probably a testament to the number of weddings that we shoot and how spread out we are, is that I think both of us are pretty much here halfway through the calendar year, and pretty much exactly halfway through our weddings. Almost. I think I'm like 1 or 2 weddings away from being halfway through, because they're a bit more spread out this year. I've got a couple in December and one in October now. So same. I think it's probably one of the first years that I can remember for a long time, or even ever, that I actually had a wedding in every month of this year.
Oh, really? Okay, that's
like,
good.
Or it being, say, like I think I had like 1.5 in January, like maybe like 1 in February, but and then again I've got 1 in December, 1 in November. But I still can say that when I finished this year, I would have shot weddings in every single calendar month of this year.
Oh wow!
Which means that I have a couple of busier months, so like May and September or October are busier. But then busy's like 4 or 5 weddings, not like say like 10 in 1 month. Yeah. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be feeling okay, because arguably I couldn't have made it any more spread out.
It's weird how every year is different though, and I know you can't really control it.
No.
Like the 10 in July, it happened just because that's when the inquiries came in. But like this year is worked out a little bit differently. I think I've maybe got 6 in July or something, but like I don't shoot in January or February pretty much, and that's kind of choice, but also kind of the fact that I just don't really get inquiries with January or February, and so it's going to be always a little bit more compact. But I feel like I had a nice time in like March, April, May, where it ramped up nice and smoothly.
Yeah.
It started with like one every 3 weeks, and it's one every 2 weeks, and it got into the flow.
And I think it's nice to have that almost like momentum build, isn't it? Because, and you know, I kind of feel that I've been doing this long enough now, or where that, because I do shoot in more months of the year, you never really get that kind of like, we work more in the summer, but we're not as much seasonal workers as kind of, you know, like wedding industry people of old, where you literally did a year's work in 4 months and then had 8 months of off, or kind of regrouping, recovering and sorting everything out, ready to go into sort of May, June, July, August of, you know, like
craziness.
Every weekend or twice in a weekend and then nothing.
Yeah.
But you do kind of naturally, like say, kind of build that momentum of, you know, you still go to that first one and, you know, you go to that and it's shorter hours of daylight, it's winter, it's colder.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you work a little bit harder, I think, to kind of feel that you get what you need out of it. But then by the time that you are really getting to like these really long days that we've been shooting now, I feel like I'm conditioned for it. Like if I started and my first wedding was like the 20th of June and I'm jumping into a like 1 p.m. ceremony with like a 9:30 sunset, is like your body wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have the conditions to deal with it, would you?
No, arguably as well. Like you say, summer weddings are, I wouldn't say more difficult. They're just there's a bit more to them because like you say, with a winter wedding, after the dinner, everyone's probably just gonna still sit there until the dancing. Like there's not really a lot happens in the evening reception. Whereas I feel like with the summer weddings, particularly now, it's always a bit like, right, let's fill this gap with something. Everyone goes outside, has another sort of reception drinks bit in the evening, and then it's like, oh, another sort of couple shoot or something, or maybe a champagne spray. There's always something to do to fill that evening gap. So you're sort of working more intensely for longer in the summer. I
think that's it. And I'm sure we've spoken in other episodes about people that offer sort of out of season discounts because they go, I'm not there as long. But I feel that like winter weddings are the sprint. Everything is compacted into probably like 4 or 5 hours because that's the daylight or the warmest part of the day.
Yeah.
So you really, once you get there, you don't stop and everything is really quite compact.
Yeah.
But you might not physically be there as long, but you do a lot more in those hours.
True.
Where at a summer wedding, like you say, there are kind of periods sometimes of say sort of half an hour or 40 minutes where you are literally in kind of like, you know, you put your camera into like eco mode, you almost do the same. You're present, you're wandering around, you're looking for things, but you're not like group shots, couple shots, confetti. Like you're not like, you're not,
it's not one thing after the other.
Yeah, like if you kind of put a timeline out of footage that you make or shots that you take in the hours, like between the hours of like half an hour before the ceremony and an hour after it, that 2 hour period, you probably make a third to half of the photos in the entire day, where then the gap from when they sit down to dinner to they end the speeches is probably a much smaller portion. And you've still spent and charged them for the same amount of hours over those times, but how much you've actually physically worked, edited and delivered from those chunks. So it is, isn't it? Summer weddings are the marathon. That you kind of need to pace yourself to see through to the end. But where
winter weddings, you've got to focus on one particular bit and be like,
and if you mess up or have drama within that half an hour, the consequences are so much bigger.
We did a wedding last week, and the reception drinks was quite short. I think it might have been even an hour. It seemed weird because the day was so spread out, and they had a lot of time for the evening, but no time for actually like between the ceremony and the dinner. And obviously they had to get their group shots done in that time and everything like that. So it didn't, and it ended up being a very short amount of time. The group shots were done sort of within the mix of the people that were chatting and things like that. So candid wise, it was just almost impossible because everyone was just sort of staring at the group shots for the whole hour. If that was in a sort of winter wedding or an autumn wedding where there's no light in the evening, I'd have been panicking at that point going into dinner thinking I've got just real candids, you know, of people actually just enjoying themselves because everyone just staring at the group
you probably
shots.
would have been forced then to go back into the dinner between main and dessert or earlier into dessert just to kind of get those chats and laughs around the tables, because that would have been your candid section of the film,
which is never my ideal situation. I don't
like.
I
guess in a winter wedding, if it's like candle lit and cozy and stuff, it might kind of be more kind of like representative of the vibe. But like they say, it is hard though, I think, and maybe it's easier for us to do as a photographer. Like I know that I can kind of loosely wander around a dinner room with an 85 and cut through, but to try and then stop and film somebody with like a setup whilst that there's still food on the table, I think that's is a lot more kind of, or it feels more invasive.
But I knew going into that dinner that I had the evening, and like you say, like you might not have that, or you'd have to sort of compromise. I don't. There's something about the the way that my brain works, I don't really like filming people at tables. Like I'd much rather like film people outside or stood up talking or things like that. Like I just I don't think it looks particularly aesthetically pleasing.
So do you not see? I really like it.
Yeah,
I think,
that's the thing.
and I've come to, and again, we're going to get into this in a minute because there's a whole section, and you kind of about talking about people noticing things and setting things up. Is that I've come to appreciate like things that are the same but change.
Yeah.
Like I like going into a room, and I wouldn't say that I'm a really heavy detail shooter, but I really like going into a room before dinner and photographing the tables where they're beautifully laid out with, you know, the flowers and the name cards and the rest of it, and you're very much capturing that stuff so that the couple have got it almost kind of for in the future. Like they made all that stuff, but to kind of see how it looks before anybody messes it up, and also so they can show people what it looked like going forward. But I like going back in, say in between main and dessert, where there is like a plate there with like a half-eaten dinner, or there's like a kid's finger like handprint in like chocolate pudding on the tablecloth, or like the semi-singed invite where someone's pushed it away and it's caught the candle, or melting candles is the one that I love to photograph, like half glasses with lipstick stains on. Like I like the fact that this was perfect like half an hour ago, and to go in and photograph kind of their guests' impact on that space, and then people kind of chatting across that. I really like that.
No, that makes sense, and I think that's very much your style of like storytelling as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a word that's overused, and a lot of photographers say to me, "Oh, I hate to call myself a storyteller, or whatever." But that is what you are, and not what every photographer is. I'll admit, or in my opinion, and not what every videographer is probably. But I think your style with storytelling, all of those things have a story to them. It's like something that's been used for years and years and years, like for 50, 60 years, has a story, has a history. It has, lots of people have used it and that kind of thing. And in a similar way, like you say, that dinner room, which is nice and perfectly set up, afterwards, the table, whatever table you're photographing has the story behind it of whoever was on it, the conversations they were having.
Yeah, I think I'm less interested in the perfect bit now. And I think, like, say that idea that lots of people market themselves as storytelling, and I've almost repelled using that word because I don't know, because I feel like everybody uses it, but I feel like I've lent into kind of, and we've spoke about this in a very, very early episode. And I think there's a reel about it on our Instagram where you talk about that kind of like singles and albums thing. I'm less interested in the big single now, or the big epic shot, and I'm interested in the full gallery. And it's hard to market that stuff on Instagram because you can only market in very small portions of what you do. But I've never more been interested, particularly this year, in giving my couples like an absolute just lump of photos, which one does kind of lead to the next, and they all do connect and make sense, and they really do tell that story. And a lot of those frames by themselves maybe wouldn't say, they don't have to say everything because they are a collection of 700 or 800 photographs, but it's also that element of trying to tell the story of a day in a photo. And I think if I shared some of that stuff on Instagram, it wouldn't always do well. So I had a wedding in May this year where they set up the outdoor ceremony and then it rained, so they had to bring it all inside again, and then it cleared up and they decided they really wanted to get married outside. They moved it back out again, and I've got all the photo of this struggle of the 6 groomsmen trying to move this, and it wasn't just a flower arch, it was like a full-on hooper, and them bending down and I was ripping their trousers, and then the groom standing on a flower pot, overseeing it all, and then kind of getting a little bit emotional because his dream of an outdoor ceremony wasn't going to happen, and then it finally did happen, and they were under umbrellas. And the shot of the umbrella over the nans in the ceremony, or whilst they were trying to make a decision about what was going to happen, one of the bridesmaids got her phone out and was on the Met Office. And so I took a picture over her shoulder, and you can see her her bouquet in one hand, her nail polish in the other hand, and on the screen it just says a lovely day with a mixture of showers. On the Met Office, that's their summary of the day, and I have that frame, and I kind of think for me, I could have just delivered that frame as their preview. And it would have been quite powerful. It's just, that's the story of their day. There was this kind of spring bouquet in the fall off. There was this kind of thing. And it was this, these colours overwinning this kind of mixture of showers. But if I put that on Instagram, it would absolutely tank. Because without the story, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it means something to the couple because they know what surrounds that
and I'm making the photos for them. And I kind of feel like that maybe the more that the world, or that what I'm consuming anyway, or the kind of the photography world seems to be pushing much more towards this perfect imperfect editorial film vibe thing. I really want to dive into the story and the emotion and the feeling of a day even more.
I feel like or I'm starting to level with that as well. Like there was a point probably pre-COVID, and I don't know whether this is because I'm getting older, I've matured, I've got married, and I know what I would want and that kind of thing. And partly through talking to you as well and being in tune with certain things that I wasn't in tune with before and doing workshops and things like that, is that I'd say pre-COVID, I'd rock up to a wedding venue and I'd be thinking about how I can capture the perfect, like, ultra wide, like, epic shot of this venue, and like I'll be thinking about how how I can capture the details in a way that looks really epic and makes it cool. Now, if I turn up to an epic venue, I get one shot of that venue, and everything, like, the whole day is me trying to focus on trying to get those little moments that perhaps you wouldn't think of if you're trying to make a film look amazing and epic, but it's actually trying to tell some sort of story. Because there's so many people who've got married at this venue. Why do you need so many shots of the venue? And I think we might as well go into what I've
I feel like we should go around it a little bit. But there is kind of this is probably the biggest takeaway from this episode, I think.
And that's that. I think it's obviously everyone has a different style, right? And I want to talk about two things here, which is one, reading the room, and also two, working with people who have a very different style to you. Because I've worked with a few photographers, and I want to preface this by saying that everyone I've worked with this year I've got on with, and it's not about like, oh, they're horrible to me.
It's not about the person. No, it's about what they make.
It's about having something. It's about having someone there who's doing something, and you're kind of thinking, oh, this is detriment to the film or whatever. But I want to talk about reading the room and how important just stepping back and looking at a moment and watching a moment play out can be in terms of capturing the story. Because I mean, this is probably an extreme example and definitely not emotive or whatever, I guess, but I posted recently a shot of a bunch of bridesmaids and groomsmen all singing along to Grease, right? And that was a lovely moment. And it was supposed to be a champagne spray, so we got a bottle of champagne and we went down to this nice little spot while the sun was setting, and we were going to get into do a champagne spray. Now, but just before that, the bride had a change of dress, and the bridesmaids and groomsmen didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know until last minute. So she came down and sort of did like a second reveal, and everyone and this is
it wasn't the moment in Greece where Sandy appears in like the leather jacket, that huge transformation.
So and then so she arrived and like everyone's amazing, and then she joined them, and that's when they started singing. So I haven't put all of that in the reel, but that's kind of the story surrounding it. And then they just broke into song, and at that point, like, me and Kate stepped back and we're like, right, okay, let's just let this happen. Like, but those sort of moments, they need their room to play out, essentially. And I feel like there are photography styles that involve stepping in and just stopping those moments, essentially. And so there's been a lot of times where I've had a really nice moment between. The example I've put is mum buttoning up the dress, right? Mum's just literally just seeing the bride in the dress. She's buttoning it up. She's looking like happy, emotional, probably slightly like nervous about not being able to do it properly. That's the real story. But I'd say half, maybe less than half of the photographers, and I understand why they do it, because you've got the bride's looking for a perfect shot, but then we'll say, right, just quickly do the dress up, I'll do the dress up quick, and then we'll get next to a window. Now mum smile at her smile at mum, and then that's like, and then you get the same photo every single time of mum pretending to do a button up, looking, and then them just looking at each other, whereas mum's looking like a bit worried, like trying to do it up. She's they're having a conversation with each other, that kind of thing.
And I think this becomes my question, which I feel it very difficult to have these with clients, but I almost kind of feel now like I need to, is that in the same way that we've spoken in the past, haven't we, about you worked with a photographer about staying late, where they have it in their contract, what do you want to do? Do you want me to come and ask you? Do you want me to stay, or do I just go home? Is almost, or you need to have that in your questionnaire, is go, if there's a lovely moment but you're in a ship light or whatever, do you want me to stop it and move you to the light to get the perfect shot, or do you want me to just leave you where you are and have the natural moment? I know what I want. I'd rather let it just play out, and if they don't happen to just turn around and look at each other and smile, then that photo won't be in their gallery, because it didn't happen. They might not have that relationship, they might not be those people. So then it becomes do they want that photo? Do you want to make it for them?
Yeah.
Or do you just want it to post?
Yeah.
Because that dress looks hot or the window light's good. You can set as much expectation as you like. I would say, and again, kind of in that, never forceful, and a lot of time it doesn't happen, but the bride goes, I'm going to get my dress now. And I go, I've cleared a space for you over by the window. Look, where did your details? I left all your stuff there. So, for me, in order to get kind of the best photo, if you could kind of start to get dressed just by the window, once you're in, sort of covered up, and mum's starting to do the buttons, or the whoever is, can you just yell me then? Like, I don't need to be here when you get dressed, but I'd like to get that moment. And they go, okay, great. And quite often, then they're stood with their back to the window, and mum's in the light, and you kind of, it should be the other way around, and sometimes I might just say,
there's definitely a middle ground.
And and there is, and if they're kind of, something's coming in, there is kind of a momentary pause where stuff's not happening, and I go, would you mind just turning to the light? That might be as much directions I'll give in that moment, and that's it. But I kind of think, if I walk in and they're clearly like a bridesmaid's come to fetch me, and mum's in the middle of doing something, or they're having this sort of moment together, I would never disrupt that. No. And for someone that talks as much as I do, and is as much as kind of a presence on the wedding day, it is as much as the art of noticing and reading the room.
Yeah.
And it's also the art of knowing when to shut up.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a middle ground. I think I wouldn't hesitate, and I say this to couples as well, I set this expectation beforehand, that I say to them that I'm trying to capture moments, and if you notice me there, it's going to be less of a moment than it would be. So I'm not trying to get involved, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the guy in the corner who is not saying anything. Like if you're in rubbish light, I'm going to tell you, can you just do this in good light, like you say with.
And I think almost, and however you do it, like say I'll actively, like if I know that I found a nice puddle of light, I might put a chair in it and leave the bride's shoes on it.
Yeah.
Almost to set myself up to succeed. So then when she goes, I need to put my shoes on,
she sits down there.
It's like training a dog to sit. Yeah. And it sounds really bad, but it is. I'm then, maybe I've slightly orchestrated that moment.
Yeah.
But what happens in that pool of light is completely natural.
Yeah.
I've just helped myself succeed by placing the chair that was tucked under the desk in the hotel room next to the window with her shoes on top of it.
Yeah.
And she will do, you will always do as a human what is easiest for you.
Yeah. Definitely.
And whether that's sending your maid of honour to go and get your shoes so you can stand where you are, or go, I can sit down on that chair, I can put my shoes on it then.
There are definitely ways you can fabricate an authentic moment as well. I feel like the father of the bride reaction is a very specific example of that. It's always set up, but you never tell him to react or whatever. It's just what he is. He'll be what he is.
Again, and I try, and sometimes it doesn't always happen. And sometimes this is a moment which is easier if a bride gets ready at home, because dad is there and he tries to avoid her and getting dressed all morning. Where if it's in a venue and someone has to go and get dad, it's a little bit more. He's coming and he knows what the deal is.
Yeah.
But I always try and say that in the morning, and I learned this from another photographer. They put it on a group, and I've used it lots of times. Is if you get most kind of dads, and the mum or the bride have kind of got them, gone, you're going to go see, and they kind of talk them up in that moment and go, you're going to do this. They almost don't cry because they built themselves up for the moment. You need that element of surprise. And so I've almost said, someone said, is try and get to the point where dad has the least idea that his bride is waiting for him behind that door, looking at the door.
With two cameras behind her.
And almost just say, I said to my bride, just shout for your dad, or get mum just to go, Dad, can you come here quick? Not, Dad, are you ready to see the bride?
It's really awkward.
Are you ready to see your daughter?
Wait,
just be like,
wait, don't open the door yet. Don't open the door.
And I'll just let it happen, and then just kind of fumble my bit through that, but wasn't quite ready. Because again,
he's ready.
I wouldn't hamper the moment. Because even if you're in the right place, then you get the wrong reaction. And I kind of think I had one once where the bride was getting ready at her parents' house, and so she got ready in her mum and dad's room.
Yeah.
And so I said to the mum, just don't, whatever you do, just don't make out that it's, you're here to see your daughter. And in the end, she was like, Derek, like I'm trying to find a hanky in your drawer. And he was like, let me get it. And as he opened the door, daughter stood there like veiled in flowers. And he was like, and you got this so genuine, like it stopped him. And he came in to look for a hanky.
Yeah.
And then just saw his eldest daughter like completely ready for the wedding. That's it. He went, she went, he hugged.
I had a very awkward situation where a father of the bride walked in as the bride was naked in the room getting changed.
See, but that's the moment then,
we were just like in another room. We just heard this massive scream, and then the dad just running out of a room.
That's amazing.
I was like, oh no, that can't believe that's happened. But yeah, like it's hard. I think it's hard for me to sit in this room and talk to you about this because you don't work with other photographers often, and also.
But sometimes I work with other videographers.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want.
But your style is the thing that I'm trying to say that is
it's more in
beneficial
tune
to
with what you
and I understand there's always going to be different styles. There are videographers out there who would love the photographer to set up lots of fabricated moments that they can slow-mo and put together and make it look like a really high-end cinematic.
If the couple want that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, let's say, I know that we've had this discussion at length last year where you found that you were being actively booked with those photographers because they wanted kind of their photos for the gram or for whatever to be these kind of perfect, really staged moments. And I almost feel like I want to get the natural stuff from Chris because he's filming it. But you don't realise that, or it's trying to then educate them that you're filming the same moments. You don't always have time to have the natural bit and then the forced bit afterwards. And so, especially in that pinch time of, say, like reveals and getting dressed and the rest of it, it's like you have to photograph what happens. But if you delivered a film back of the photographer stepping in and kind of moving hands and going, oh, just move a little bit there, move a little bit there, it would pan out like some weird like docu-soap of their wedding. Not a beautiful cinematic film.
And there's another separate occasion. So it's been a few weddings I've worked this year where I've worked with people who like this is exactly like you say. I'm trying to capture moments, and if all those moments are being set up or the actual moments being separated in order to get a good photo, it becomes really difficult. And then all I'm getting is a video version of the photo gallery, rather than a video version of what should be like the authentic story of the story of the day. And it's just things like, there was one point where the dress was done, so the bride turned around and then the mum sort of got a look and was like, oh, and then started getting emotional and hugging, and the photographer's gone, right, no, if you can just step left and do that. And it's like, and that's my moment completely ruined. I've got maybe a second of them hugging, and this is not an isolated incident. And again, like, this is their style, they've probably been booked for this, but it's a case of like, then what do I do to try and get the thing that I need? Because that was what I need has now been completely cut dead. What emotion was there has now been, okay, now you stand there, you put your hand here, oh, it's a lovely photo of you and mum, that one's going on the frame, but what the moment that I need is the moment before that's been completely ruined.
But I guess it comes down to opinion. Like you say, you'd like to think if somebody had booked a photographer like that, they must know what they're getting and actively want that overly staged photo so they look. But I kind of think that you don't, or I would feel, as soon as that person stepped in, I would almost I'd probably be angry in the moment and then almost sad that they aren't, and again, this sounds really scathing, emotionally intelligent enough to realise that it's real. And when like you hear stories or you read stuff on BuzzFeed,
read the room.
That's so wild that nobody could have made that up. Because how could you have thought that up? Because that story's wild and it's real. It happened. And weddings are a much more kind of tamer version of that. It's like all the things that people talk about are the stuff that you never expect to see at a wedding, or the bits which aren't the given bits. So you don't need to spell it out for them. And maybe because we've been to enough weddings now, is that you don't always get those photos at every wedding, because that thing doesn't always happen at every wedding. But you deliver them an honest document of what happened. And I would much rather, as a consumer of those, if I was a bride or a groom or a mum, is I, who was there, would look at that photo and would much rather the little look and the bit and go, oh, do you remember? I remember like you turning around and me seeing you.
Suddenly realising.
And she looks at that photo and it is a trigger in her brain to her looking up and seeing her daughter looking like that for the first time. Where if I then looked at the other photo, and we've all done it, we've all been on holiday where they've had the photographer, who dishes out the same 4 poses, where you stand with like your arms around the waist and then you look in at each other and now giggle for the camera, and you look at it and all you remember is how awkward you felt, how stupid it was. And I don't want.
You might like the photo itself, but you can remember the memories behind it.
Or if someone else, as a third party, looks at it, might go, oh, that's a lovely photo of you. But all you remember is how awkward you felt and how ridiculous it was. And because we're not making our photos for Instagram, we're not making them to, go on. We're making them for the people that are in them, to remind them of that day. And I feel like this is a drum that I want to bang hard at the moment, and I'm really kind of diving into this, is that's it. Like, we need to advertise our work so that other people find it and book it. But those photos are never, ever going to be as important to anybody else than the people in them.
But the problem from my perspective is how, I've got to think, have the couple book this photographer because they knew everything was going to be like this and they were quite happy to do that, or have they booked this photographer because they have pretty photos and then realise that all those pretty photos are because every single moment has been. And I wonder if these photographers, because this particular wedding is by the afternoon, the couple were getting quite frustrated by the amount of set up things there were, and I even heard some people like, so it was I even heard some of the like groomsmen saying, God, they go really hard on photos, don't they? And it's like, but it didn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
And by the time the sunset came around, we had a perfect sunset. It was incredible. The couple were like, nah, it's been set up. It's like we've been posing all day. We're not posing anymore. And like, that's sad, because not that they should go out for sunset, but like from the pre-wedding call, I knew that was very important to them.
Yeah.
And for them to say no, even though it's really important to them to get sunset shots.
Down to exhaustion.
Yeah. And I was beaten down to exhaustion. I was literally just sat there. I was like, when are we going to do candids? Like all the guests are just waiting around for the next setup thing to happen. When are we going to have a moment just where everyone can talk to each other? And by the time that came, that come, it was too late, really. It was the evening going into the party, you know? And that's not entirely of photographer's fault. Maybe the group shot list was actually long anyway.
Yeah, but that could have been educated or talked down.
Yeah,
or informed them.
Yeah.
Do you realise, you want these moments? And it is hard sometimes to explain or get couples to put their faith in you when you turn around and say the best things happen when nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like when I say, well, all I need to know is what time's your ceremony, what's happening in the ceremony, what time do you sit down? And also, how long have I got in that gap? And I like at least 90 minutes. A 2-hour drinks reception for me is lovely. Because I know then that I haven't got to then force them. I can leave them at least half an hour coming out the ceremony to soak in all that kind of post energy, hugs, energy, excitement.
Yeah.
They can get their drink. I can get my candids of all that before I even have to think about group photos.
That's what I had a call with a couple that me and you are shooting together. And they were like, I think we're going to go straight into group shots after the ceremony. And I was like, if I know working with Tom, I don't think that will happen, because after the ceremony is like the bit where you get to. So
I've got a wedding on Sunday coming up, and I had my final meet with them last week, and they said the same, because they're getting married in sort of a barn at the back of the venue, and then we've got to move through the venue to the front piece like for dinner.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh well, because we're going to kind of move that way anyway. We figured we'd do the everybody shots. Like, more or less, we'll get the registrar to announce that we're going to do confetti back down the aisle, and everybody will follow us to the everybody photo.
Yeah.
And I was like, is there like an actual geographical reason for us to do this?
Yeah.
Like, is it like an on the way? And they're like, oh no, because then we'll just walk back around the venue to the bar. And I was like, but we've got to come back that way to dinner, right? At the end. Yeah, so the final at the end.
Yeah.
So I was like, everyone's going to be buzzing to see you and to hug you and say congratulations.
And you're going to be standing, get behind me.
And they're just going to be following you to try and navigate. And again, it's not a big number of people, but that energy then's gone.
It makes a huge difference.
We'll do the photo. Oh, that was nice. I'll wander around to the drink, and then it's just polite straight away. There's none of that. I just want to grab you and squish you, and congratulations, and then that's gone.
That's my favourite part of the wedding day, is the 10 minutes after the ceremony. Easily, like, you get the best candids, hugs, smiles, greetings. Like, it's just
and again, that moment's a sprint, isn't it? Those moments are coming at you thick and fast. And even as an observant person with 2 cameras, you can't get all of it.
No.
But within that 20 minutes, you know that you've got so much genuine excitement, emotion in those photos, that then once you get to kind of the canapes are coming out and people are just catching up on life lately with their mates, or they're eating the canapé.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for sneaking away for 20 minutes to do 6 or 8 group shots with family at that point, because I know that those moments aren't coming at that velocity and, emotionally kind of strength.
Yeah.
Because they were 20 minutes ago. And effectively you're doing the
Things
same thing.
Plateau,
you're being the photographer that's jumping in going, can we now do something for? Let's do something for. At a moment which is kind of really emotionally heightened.
Yeah. And I appreciate what all we're really doing is plugging our style, that there are different styles out there. And I think sometimes it comes to having done the job for so long that maybe you've got into a routine and all you can think about is the shot that you need, or this shot list in your head that you kind of need to get, and it builds up that I've worked with photographers before who literally, if they haven't got the shot of this particular bride in this particular thing at this particular point in the room, then it's like, oh, I'm so glad I always get this shot. I'm really nervous. The bride doesn't care. As long as you've got everything, the story is told, that one shot that you've done at every wedding at that venue in the last year, they're not going to care if you haven't got it.
And I think as well, it's almost having, if you're new, it's really easy to look at socials or other people's portfolios and go, well, I want that shot in my portfolio. And if you feel you've got the right bride or the right venue or the right dress, it's almost too easy to step in and fabricate that thing. I've got that to show now. Where I think once you've been doing it long enough, you know that every wedding is different, and you might not get at every wedding an amazing confetti, an amazing sunset, an amazing bridal portrait. Not every single shot that comes out of that venue is going to be a 10, and it's not your fault. It could be the timing on the day, or the bridal prep room doesn't face the way of the sun, or all sorts. But you don't need to get that shot at every wedding. As long as you are doing the story justice,
Yeah.
it's okay. And I think it's too easy to start to want everything from something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I remember
The
going
whole day
to-
is not going to be
Yeah.
perfect from start to finish. It's not how life works or most weddings work. It's,
And I think maybe what I've lent into this more lately is I remember going to Thrive to Photography Farm this year, and I go every year. And John Dolan spoke this year, who's like a really storytelling photographer, been a photographer for 30 years now. And like he said that he'll actively go into his meetings, and he shoots everyone from sort of like royalty to celebrities and, kind of people, and charges them a big figure to do so. And is brave enough to stand there and go, and they go, well, what are you going to take? What are you going to take photo? What's your style? And he was like, I'll guarantee you absolutely nothing. I can't tell you there will be this photo or there'll be that photo. He's like, just trust me to turn up and photograph your wedding.
Yeah.
And the photos will be whatever you do on the day.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to tell you what's...
It's not my response. I'm not here to tell you we're going to get at this shot, we're going to get at that shot.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
If you want a lovely shot with grandma, you've got to spend time with grandma.
Yeah.
And again, sunset's out your hands. If you get a dull, cloudy day, then your golden hour will have dull clouds in it. Mm-hmm. But what if you get a rainbow? I'll make sure we get it.
Yeah.
But you can't book a rainbow in.
Yeah.
Like, if you want an amazing confetti shot...
You can't make dad cry.
Yeah,
when he
you
really
can't
reacts.
make him cry.
You can't make the groom
but
cry.
if you know your dad well enough, if he's not a crier and he does cry, I'll make sure I get my best to get it.
Yeah.
So that you can tell that he's obviously feeling emotionally heightened today, and that's what they'll talk about. Oh, we've never seen Richard cry, but she got him today, and they expect that, they want to see that tear.
Yeah.
But you can't go into a wedding and to have someone at that level stand there in front of you and go, you don't have to get anything.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. Like, a bride can't... If you go away and you deliver an absolutely solid gallery of exactly what happened on their day and present it in a really honest, emotional, beautiful fashion, what room is there for that bride to come back to you and go, oh, well, you didn't get a photo of this?
Yeah. It'd normally be, oh, you didn't get a photo of us looking at the
dress
camera
is a
or
prime
whatever.
one. I didn't go post about this the other day.
Yeah.
Some dresses just look crap on a hanger.
Yeah.
They're meant to be worn by people. You don't need to have a dress hung up. It's going to be in the photos if the bride wears it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a photo of the invite.
I think, again...
They sent them to people. They probably got the real thing at home, which will stay in the box with your photos. So they don't need them. But again, if they want it, it's there. And it's having that element, isn't it? Is you don't need to win everything. And I'm not going to rant too much harder about it, because I feel like at the moment this is what's taken up a lot of my thoughts at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that just tell the damn story.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting conversation to bring up, because there's nothing we can do about it, because it is like everyone has different styles, and sometimes you're going to work with people who aren't your style, and sometimes that's going to make your job difficult. And I've spoke to a videographer recently who worked with someone similar to who I've been talking about, but with that added benefit of double flash, or one on each camera for like the whole the entire prep. And that, again, like, there's always that debate of whether it ruins the film because it happened on the day, but at the end of the day, like, it is a bit jarring. But then it's also like, I need to set up this, I need to put flash on, and there's perfectly good windows, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I think that's, and I haven't worked with these people, so I don't know, but I think that's probably just more of an anxiety thing about window. Like, you flash, if you just bounce it at the ceiling, you know you're going to get light, basically, don't you? So I think there's that thing of like, just like conflicting styles, which we have spoken about before.
And I guess, we've said in the past is that, or we've spoke about it now, that idea of educating your couples is so they very much know what you're going to get on the day. Because I feel that we looked at a lot of photographers' websites in preparation for our website reviews and for the workshop and stuff, and I didn't find many that will actively say, we will guide you and hold your hand, curating moments in your day.
That's the worrying thing. I think it's not said enough, and I think that's why the couples get a bit...
And to use a word which is bandied around as much as storytelling or something at the moment, or editorials taken on different connotations. Like, for you to be an editorial photographer, that means it should look like it's out of a magazine, which for the most part, which probably means it's going to be posed. Yeah. But then the copy below it goes, oh, I'm actually documentary. And it's like, well, actually, what are you? And stand by it. Let's say if people need to know what they're getting, and the chances are that, and I'm not going to throw shade at the photographer that you worked with, but if that couple got that angry on their day, we are so done with photos. Yeah. I would say that they were missold when they booked that photographer. Yeah. They looked at those photos and were told, oh, you can have these wonderful moments, and I'll capture them naturally.
Moments. Yeah.
Documentary.
Yeah. but then they're set up, you're told to laugh, and it looks suddenly like it's natural. And you see that on Instagram, you think, oh, it's a group of bridesmaids having a good time. In reality, it's 5-10 minutes of, all right, you stand in the line, make sure you do that, make sure you turn this way. And it's like, that's not a group of bridesmaids having a good time.
And clearing the background of, the pants that are just left on the thing where they've got changed, and the water bottle which is left, and and I'm not saying you can't do
getting
those
the
things.
sofas out and starting organising little like chairs, some sat on chairs and things like that. Like it's not.
It takes time, and I found that like I love the look of those group shots.
Yeah, of course.
Where they put them by the fireplace with the chairs.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, I think I'd love the look of it, and I would love to make that.
But there's so little soul.
It goes so against the core of what I do that I think that when someone looks back on those in 10, 15 years' time, where that kind of bridal group that were like our absolute core of sisters or uni friends have maybe moved apart, or they just want to look at that photo and go, look how happy we were in that moment. Like we're hugging together and we're laughing with each other, and that's hard to do when although it's very aesthetic, it's very kind of symmetrically laid out. I kind of think the time that would take to do, you're losing again that real kind of sentiment, aren't you?
Definitely. But just to balance it out, I got so in reply to that reel, which I started this whole conversation with, I got a message from a photographer I'm working with in a few weeks' time, just saying, "Oh, thank God for that," because I put a little story up saying something like basically what I'm saying now. You have to step back, you have to let moments play out in order to capture the real sort of personality and soul of people. And again, that was supposed to be a set-up moment, but it ended up being like between friends, like a really, really nice moment,
and probably far nicer or unique.
I used it over the champagne shot. I didn't even use the champagne spray. So it works really well. But so this photographer messaged me and was like, "Oh, thank God that you do this. I've had some videographers do some crazy things before." And I was like, "Oh, what? Like, tell me what what they've been doing." Apparently one videographer, when a bridesmaid was doing up a dress, but she was looking a bit emotional, and he was like, "Oh, you look a bit too emotional. Can we get Mum in instead to do it?"
Because she'll smile,
Because she'll smile. Like you don't look very happy about it, and she's like, "Bridesmaid, I'm just emotional." Yeah. And then Mum came in and apparently wasn't emotional enough, so the videographer was like, "Can you look a bit like more like you're into it?" And it's like, oh my God. So this does happen on both sides. I'm under no illusion and I wonder if because your style is very much like mine in terms of like step back, let things happen, whether you've worked with any videographers who have set things up so much that you're kind of like you're sat there with your camera down like this isn't a bit of me.
I've had times where as we're walking out, I'm trying to get walking shots, and the videographer was saying to me, "Oh well, if we could get to there, you could just stop them there, like get what you need, and I'll have my turn afterwards." And I'm like, they're real people. Like they're having 10 minutes to themselves to get these shots. It's not like let's get them to the cool place. You have your turn and I'll have mine. Like then they're not action figures. And I've had that where they go, okay, well I've got these like set plays that I need for the film, where it will be okay. Well, you stand there looking at your flowers, and then the groom's going to walk up behind you, and then they put the hand on the shoulder, and you'll lean in and kiss. And they have to do it 3 times because one of them will laugh.
Oh, that is cringe.
Or it's whatever. And I don't have it as much anymore. The shot looks good, but within the last 2 to 3 years, I've had people that still go, "Oh, I need to get this because that's this kind of segue into from that part of the day to this." And the couple will then get to the end of it and laugh and go, "Oh, well, we know it will look good," but they laugh about how awkward it was. And then I just photograph the laugh afterwards as they're kind of walking away to the next bit about how cringe that was.
But whether it looks good or not, you still remember the awkwardness of it.
And I would. And that was for me. I want to look back at my photos or my video, and particularly the video, because you've got the audio and everything there. It's literally playing out in front of you. Is that, you think, and again, when we've gone into demographics, most of my couples are somewhere between the ages of sort of 28 and 40, and a lot of them don't have children yet. But they have children pretty damn quickly after the wedding. And I want them to sit down in 5 years' time when their kid's like school age on their anniversary and go, "We can watch our wedding film." And that kid's not there, but they see their mum and dad from 5 years ago, and they see grandma, looking a little bit younger or doing it, and they can get a feel of that day, and they want to watch the video because it's not just mummy in a pretty dress being swirled on a golf course by her husband. Because what does it mean?
No,
exactly. What does that actually say about someone?
It's having soul, and I think it's what you were saying about I need to get this specific like shot list for my couple shoot. I think you need to be again, this is opinion, but you need to be flexible and base it on your couples. Because you might get couples who love Instagram and they might love that him walking up behind, putting the like hand on the shoulder and things like that. But also then you might get to a couple who's like, what the fuck is this? Well,
Yeah.
oh, that's the first time I swore on this podcast. And just like, what are we doing here? And if there's even one bit of them that's like, this is not us at all, they're going to look back at that and just think, what are we doing here?
I think that's it, is you have to be very, very clear in the expectations that you are setting when you start to show a couple, one, that your work attracts the people that you want.
Yeah.
And you don't try and sell people that you're something you're not to get a booking. And I know it's hard. We're all running businesses here. And I'll be honest, my inquiries at the moment are quieter than they have been in other years. But I think if someone still came to me and I got to a call stage with them and they were looking for something which was still a lot more kind of narrated, posed, there's still part of me that couldn't just take their money.
Yeah.
I'd have to go, well, I only know how to be me. And unless you are looking for this, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's standing by that. And, you know, we've just done an episode on style. And it's almost, you need to work out what your style is and almost shouting it from the absolute rooftops.
Yeah.
Or when you get to those calls, not being afraid to educate people to go, like, you sure you want this?
Yeah.
And I almost get to that point now on my calls. I'm like, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. Like, and you need to be like, yes, everything you're saying is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
So that when they get to the day and they don't look at you and go, what do you want us to do then?
Yeah.
Because they don't do that. Or they go, oh, would you want us to just go and get this so we can do this for the photo? Because they know that I do nothing for the photo.
Yeah.
I get it. If I missed it, I'm sorry, it's gone.
But you're not going to do it again.
Yeah, but I'm not going to recreate it.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's gone.
Yeah.
Or and working on that ethos now is that you are never in the wrong place, or you've never, you know, you didn't deliver that expectation to get anything.
Yeah.
Because all the things they will love the most is stuff they would have never asked for.
Yeah.
I feel like we started this episode probably just going to be a little bit of a catch up.
Yeah.
Because we're recording a really exciting guest episode, aren't we, this afternoon?
So this afternoon we're recording a guest episode, so we wanted just to have a catch up before that, basically, didn't we?
But
So,
I feel like in the end, it's really nice that we've probably come to this room today, having not seen each other for a few weeks, with pretty much the same topic and the same feelings on mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to talk about these things during the summer while they're all sort of fresh in your mind, and you're working with people and you're getting to know things. And all it really means is that me and you, like we've kind of nailed the way that we like to work, isn't it? Really. So
and I think that's nice because obviously I'm away next week. I've got a wedding on Sunday, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, my next two weddings are with you.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, I've got two in a row then, sort of over two weekends.
Yeah.
And both of them we're working together. So hopefully for all the things that we
I had a call with both of them on the same night.
Yeah,
it's quite
moaned about
cool.
now.
Yeah.
That we know hopefully those things aren't going to happen on those days.
Hopefully.
And they're both going to be
until you get 2 minutes into your couple shoot and you're like, right, I'm done, and then you hand it over to me. And you're like, who is this guy taking 10 minutes? No, it's all good. I feel like it all works really well because we're not like, even my couple shoot's similar to yours, just longer. Like, it's very much just like you just enjoy your time together, and
But I think some of that's the process.
Yeah,
I think some of that is just the process.
Yeah.
Like, I think in photo it's quite quicker, or it is easier to get what you need quicker. Like you need that certain kind of play stuff to kind of do, just to kind of play out a little bit, or that sense of we need to kind of walk to a few more spots to get that kind of link through.
Yeah.
Whereas I find a really nice piece of lighthouse on the doorstep, but it is just a case of just stand there, have your little moment here, we'll walk there, done.
Yeah, exactly.
And I quite like now, but before I used to be kind of have that like idle chat on the way out to a couple shoot and on the chat on the way back. Where particularly now at sunset, I quite like leaving my couples out there and let them come back in their own time.
Yeah, true.
Almost just say to them, look, I've made this really lovely moment. Like stand out here, just watch the end of the sunset together.
Yeah.
And when you feel ready to come back to the party,
just look at it a bit from afar.
And just come back.
Yeah.
Just let them stay out there, and because they might want 5 minutes alone. And and you've used them, they've used you as that opportunity to get the time away, and they might want longer, and they might want not me chatting.
It's kind of how I always sell it. Is I know there's cameras pointed at you, but it's nice to just go away, just you two, and I know we're going to be there as well, and it's going to be just a chat between us all that. But at the end of the day, like it's a break from the hustle bustle of people tapping you on the shoulder and like just trying to have conversation with every single person in the room. So.
I think it's good. I'm looking forward to those. I feel like all the things that have been on my mind or I've been low-key angry about, I've kind of, or I've been, angry is not the right word, but like bubbling away, or the thoughts I've been having about this kind of style and stuff. I kind of feel that summed it up pretty well, and I feel lighter for having shared that with somebody. So,
but I don't think it's a negative thing. It's interesting to talk about. Like,
it's an opinion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an opinion. Like we found our style, we found our type of couple, we found the way that we want to shoot, and I think it's interesting to talk about how other people shoot and how that can conflict, and equally sometimes how it can be a match made in heaven as well. Sometimes you can rock up and be like, yeah, like this photographer is making this couple laugh while talking to each other, and I don't even need to say anything for the whole time.
And that's it. And it's not saying that I only ever want to work with the same videographers that always work in the style that I like, because you don't learn anything then either. No. Sometimes the ways that you have to adapt and overcome when working with someone new or someone that doesn't work the way you do can lead you down a path that you never thought that you needed in the first place. Yeah. But at the same time, there are some days where it does become really hard for you to make what you've sold the couple when someone else that's been booked kind of with you without you having any kind of say in it.
That's a good point.
Is so starkly different.
Like this wedding with a bridal party were being, or this particular wedding, the bridal party were being set up in a way, and I usually film bridal party shots. Yeah. They were being set up in a way which was so, I just couldn't bring myself to film it. It's the first time really where I've gone and gone, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to leave these group shots and see if I can find someone milling about somewhere who's just like looking at things.
Something which the bride and groom won't see because they're doing this.
Yeah. But usually I'd be there for the bridal party shots, but it forced me to be like, I'm just going to not do what I normally do and see what happens. And sometimes magic comes out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think that's it. A lot of it as well is have your style, be comfortable with it, and also trust your instincts. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that actually tied quite nicely into like the style episode that we did last time as well.
Sometimes I feel that we did that, and that was a little bit more broader, and we kind of skirted around a lot of things. I feel like that was kind of the footnote and the kind of more succinct version of it.
Dug deep into like different styles and how they work and what we believe in ourselves, really, isn't it? Like,
definitely,
we want that to come across. But
are we going to drop? Are we going to name drop about who our guest is?
Yeah. So next episode, which we'll be recording later on today, is going to be with Damien from TWIA, so the Wedding Industry Awards. So really excited to chat to him and dive deep into him as a photographer and also obviously the awards as well. So if you've entered before, then you will know what to expect from it. If you haven't, or maybe you've got some sort of or maybe you're not sure about awards, and it could be good to listen to and listen to his opinion on why TWIA is the way forward. Yeah,
because I'm looking forward to this. So I'm pretty much adamant now that I am going to enter. I've never entered an awards like that before. I'm pretty much decided that I'm going to enter.
Yeah.
After the conversation with you about it and the conversation with Rue about it, which was what led Damien to get in touch and obviously him to come on. But so I'm pretty much certain I'm going to enter. But I do have some questions about kind of like how it all works and kind of where it can go and what it can do. So I'm going to try and let him sell to me a little bit. So we're going to see how it goes. But,
it's going to be really interesting. So
by the time that one comes out, I'll be back from holiday, and then I'm sure we'll have more stories from the weddings that we're going to shoot together in the episodes that follow that one. So hopefully you're going to be on board and join us for the rest of this Wedding Capture Co thing. Subscribe, like, do whatever you do. If you don't shoot in the way that we do, comment. Like, you're not wrong, you're just different. So
you're just different.
You are though, aren't you? That's it. And we're all different, and all the couples are different, which is why there is a photographer out there for everybody.
I'm in no way saying these people are shooting wrongly. They're just not shooting the way that I would shoot, and it's interesting.
Or not shooting the way they told the couples they were shooting. That's the biggest thing. Again, we're not saying that everybody has to be like us. It's just that if you're not like us, tell your damn couples.
Yeah, I love a good debate. So feel free to message us or comment if you disagree or if you agree, or if someone you've worked with has done something crazy. It's also quite nice to listen to.
That would be a good like a confessions episode.
When this photographer messaged me and said what the videographer had done, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy.
That's what we need. Let's just do an episode where we just that'd be
user submitted.
Anonymously as well. Like no names involved, just the stories.
Yeah.
If you've got one, send it to us. If we get enough, there's an episode in it, we will do it.
Yeah, if you've got a funny story about something that's happened at a wedding or with another supplier, let us know. It can be fun.
And until then, we will see you.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next one.